Submandibular gland. So in this, the competency we are covering is the morphology, relations, nerve supply of submandibular gland, and we also discuss submandibular ganglion. So in the picture you can see that it is divided into two parts by the mylohyoid muscle, that is superficial and deep part, and it is J-shaped. So it is situated in the anterior part of digastric triangle. It is J-shaped, indented by the posterior border of mylohyoid. It is divided into two parts, larger superficial part, superficial to the muscle, and small part lying deep to the muscle. Coming to superficial part, this part is in the digastric triangle. It extends upward deep to the mandible up to the mylohyoid line. It has three surfaces, and they are inferior, which can be seen in the picture, lateral and medial surfaces. So lateral is related to the mandible and the other one is medial surface. The gland is enclosed between the two layers of deep cervical fascia. So in this picture you can see the deep cervical fascia is splitting to enclose the submandibular gland. Superficial layer of fascia covers the inferior surface and is attached to the base of mandible. Deep layer covers the medial surface of the gland and it is attached to mylohyoid line of mandible. So picture shows the location of medial pterygoid muscle, that is between mandibular foramen and the angle of the mandible, and submandibular gland, which is in the submandibular fossa below the mylohyoid line. Coming to relations. So first we will start with inferior surface relations. They are skin, platysma, cervical branch of facial nerve, deep cervical fascia, facial vein, and submandibular lymph nodes. Lateral surface relations. It is related to submandibular fossa of the mandible and the insertion of the medial pterygoid muscle and also facial artery. Coming to medial surface. So this surface can be divided into three parts, anterior, middle and posterior part. In the anterior part, the gland is related to mylohyoid muscle, its nerve and vessels. Coming to middle part, it is related to hyoglossus, lingual nerve, submandibular ganglion and hypoglossal nerve. Posterior part is related to hyoglossus, muscle, stylohyoid ligament, glossopharyngeal nerve and the wall of pharynx. Inferiorly, the submandibular gland will be overlapping stylohyoid and posterior digastric muscles. We come to deep part. Deep part is small in size. It lies deep to mylohyoid muscle, superficial to the hyoglossus muscle. Posteriorly, it is continuous with the superficial part around the posterior border of mylohyoid muscle. Now we come to submandibular duct. It is about 5 centimeters long. It emerges at the anterior end of the deep part of the gland, runs forwards on the hyoglossus muscle between the lingual and hypoglossal nerves. At the anterior border, of the hyoglossus, the duct is crossed by lingual nerve. So you can see the lingual nerve crossing the duct. Then it opens on the floor of the mouth on the side of frenulum of the tongue. Nerve supply. It is supplied by branches of submandibular ganglion. These branches convey secretomotor, sensory fibers from the lingual nerve, vasomotor sympathetic fibers from the plexus on the facial artery. Coming to ganglion. This ganglion is suspended from the lingual nerve on the lateral surface of hyoglossus muscle. There are three routes. Sensory route, it is by lingual nerve. Sympathetic, it is plexus around facial and lingual arteries. Parasympathetic, parasympathetic arises in the superior salivary nucleus, which gives preganglionic fibers, and they are carried by chorda tympani branch of facial nerve. Relay occurs in the ganglion, that is submandibular ganglion, and the postganglion fibers are carried by the lingual nerve. Sensory and sympathetic fibers traverse the ganglion without relay. The branches of submandibular ganglion, parasympathetic secretomotor, are given to submandibular and sublingual glands. Sensory carry sensation from submandibular and sublingual glands. Sympathetic to the vessels of submandibular and sublingual glands. Then we will go on to study another competency. Describe the basis for formation of submandibular stones. More than 80% of the stones or cyolyths are localized within the duct system of the submandibular gland, whereas 20% are found to be in the parotid gland. Approximately 90% of the submandibular stones are situated in the distal portion of the Wharton duct or at the hilum. Coming to caliculi. Salivary caliculi are usually unilateral. Irregular surface in most of the cases, vary in size and are usually yellow. They are found more often in the adults. Formation. Stones develop as a result of an initial organic nidus, followed by the deposition of inorganic material, both of which are derived from the salivary fluid. The nidus or the filamentous stroma is a precipitated mucoid or salivary proteins. Anatomical basis. Submandibular stones are more common because the duct of the submandibular gland is longer, it has anti-gravity flow, less caliber duct compared with that of the parotid duct. Another region is the comma area of the submandibular duct, where it takes turn inferiorly behind the posterior border of mylohyoid muscle as the duct approaches the hilus of the gland. The submandibular saliva is 2 times more viscous than that of parotid due to its mucus content. Thank you.